Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Absolute Wellness Naturally podcast. My name is Sherry Neal. I am the host of the podcast and the owner of Absolute Wellness Center in Springfield, Missouri. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Please, if you enjoy the podcast, if you got anything out of it, please consider sharing it with your friends and family. We are trying to grow this thing on the cheap. We are very frugal. We like to keep our costs down in every part of our business. And I would just really appreciate the help with spreading the good news about natural health and wellness. So today's episode is sponsored by Not a Dogs, the Missing Link. This is a capsule form of 78 organically chelated minerals, trace minerals. And I'll just read to you what the back of the bottle says. The Missing Link contains the natural mineral clay recommended by the late Dr. John Myers, creator of the legendary Myers cocktail. This non-volcanic mineral clay is sourced from ancient inlet seabeds in the western United States that is believed to contain the remnants of ancient plant life that fed off the mineral-rich thermal springs. So the Missing Link is the foundation in all of NEWtrition protocols and was recommended by NEWtrition for overall health. So if you don't know who NEWtrition is, Chris Farr, aka NEWtrition, or NAD for short, was a dear friend and mentor. Well, let me just read you a little bit about his history. He was a nutritional historian who has been investigating and applied research in nutrition through 5 decades. He has been involved with selenium research throughout that period of time as well. Chris instructed doctors on nutrition in both the classroom setting and in private consultations. His background includes print and broadcast media, and as a frequent radio guest on programs, as well as hosting his own broadcasts. He made an appearance on the CBS Evening News as a health expert. He had a show called The Voice of Change, and he wrote a piece in a newspaper called Naturally Speaking. So we miss him so much, but we're thankful for the time that we had for him and all that he shared with us, and the many people that he helped are forever grateful. If you are interested in learning more about what he did and what he recommended to help people stay healthy and well, reach out to me and I will add you to the Not a Nurse and Not a Doc Facebook page. Okay, guys, so this episode we are going to talk about, well, first off, I'm going to clear up some things that I said incorrectly on a couple of the other ones. First off, apparently I said I started nursing school in 1991. That is not correct. I started nursing school in 1999 and graduated in 2001. Also, my mother told me that I messed up some things when I was talking about my infancy and my surgery and all of that. So she was in labor with me 3 days. Her water broke, pretty traumatic birth. I had a fever. She had a fever. I was sick. I had a seizure. They gave me phenobarbital for the seizure. And then, I was fine. They let us go, went home, and then went back to the hospital at 2 or 3 months to have the surgery on my soft spot. And the plaster of Paris had nothing to do with the dressing on my head for the surgery. It was more to help hold in. I had IVs in my head, so they used that to keep them in place, apparently. Mom, if that's wrong, let us know. I feel like there was something else I screwed up on about that. I'm sure she'll tell me, so stay tuned for more clarifications. Today, I really want to talk to you about glucose sugar balance, which is Chromium GTF. And we're going to learn what chromium is, the different types of chromium, why it's helpful. I'm just really excited. I'm going to start reading to you from this book that Chris wrote, and I think it will make sense. And I hope you really take away the important pieces of this, but we're going to go slow. And if you have questions, reach out to me. I do encourage you to get a copy of this book and the Selenium book. You can get them at choosetobehealthy.com. I think they're 10 or 11 bucks. So lots and lots of information in very few pages. So I want you to have these and share them with your friends and family. The top of the book, there's a note from Dick Gregory, and it says, "The most important document I got in my whole life was this book." That's pretty impressive. If you don't know who he is, take some time and look up Dick Gregory. He was a civil rights proponent. He ended up getting into nutrition. I think he became a vegan and was very into nutrition and just standing up for people and freedom. So definitely take a look at Dick Gregory. Nutrition You, and it's NEWtrition, a primer for life about chromium, sparkling health for your life and living. So chromium is vital for things like pregnancy, energy in general, eyesight, heart disease, cancer. Chromium is important for preventing birth defects, helping with obesity, diabetes, and many other things. So page 1. Since the beginning of the 20th century, there's been a fixation on separating the various elements of nutrition: vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, etc. A new super nutrient of the moment captures the interest of the health conscious consumer only until the next one arrives a year or two later. This pattern has continued for many years. In the early part of the last century, science was crude and results were slow. Nutritional support was not as enticing nor profitable as the, quote, miracle cures of the so-called wonder drugs. Nutrition was relegated to the back seat or even the trunk in the scientific arena. Even so, a tremendous amount of data has been gathered through more than a century of investigation. Unfortunately, the whole picture of health appears to have been lost in the shuffle, unnoticed in the flurry of studies. It's long past time to regroup the data and reorient ourselves to wholesome nutrition. Come join us as the great jigsaw puzzle is reconstructed. That is what NEWtrition is all about. NEWtrition begins nutritional study anew, but with the benefit of all the knowledge attained in the past century. NEWtrition reunites the facts, recreating the picture of healthful, wholesome living for all of humanity. I have to read you the disclaimer. It's gonna, this will give you an idea of some of Chris's personality. Disclaimer: data provided, expressed or implied by not a doc is primarily unapproved, sadly, by the FDA or AMA to your detriment. If you have placed yourself under medical care, then your primary care physician, family doctor, or other medical practitioner may or may not want to be informed of any choice you enter into regarding any and all changes to diet, supplementation, or medicine. If your doctor or physician is not receptive to changes that are in accordance with nature and or that are against chemical modification of your body, you may or may not be within your legal and or lawful rights regarding yourself to fire them. I think that's super funny. So we'll just start with the beginning. And he says, all that glitters is not gold. Chromium glitters too. If it is true that good health is worth more than great wealth, then chromium is more valuable than gold. Within the dark recesses of the womb, egg and sperm unite, and the conception of new life occurs. The subsequent process of mitosis accelerates, and the cell division progresses to a differentiation of the cells, which results in the fetus and culminates at the entrance of the world of a healthy, beautiful human infant. At birth, the infant has a brain that's still in the state of rapid development. The brain will reach most of its adult size in only a few years. The child grows full of energy and life and journeys through adolescence to adulthood. Energies may decrease through the 20s and 30s as one settles into a sedentary or comfortable lifestyle around the age of 40. Weight gain may creep up or even overwhelm through this period of time. One may find that the eyesight is not what it once was, and eyeglasses become necessary. One slowly comes to realize that the They are going over the proverbial hill. As one proceeds down the hill, it becomes apparent that various body mechanisms are becoming inefficient. Diabetes and or heart disease sneak up on you. One hopes to avoid the scourge of big C, cancer. One finds it necessary to slow down the pace of living even further. All of the above are considered normal parts of growing up and subsequent ravages of the aging process. Is this accurate? One element is a key to this voyage, from the initiation of life in the womb until the conclusion of life at death. The most valuable element in the mineral chromium, that is the subject of this writing. The pages that follow will take you through a journey from Genesis through Revelation. You may just discover that chromium is the most important nutrient discovered to date. Genesis, right from the start. Okay, you ready to keep going? I think this is I know this is so important, and I don't think many people really understand how all of this works. So we're just going to go through this book, and I'll just do a couple pages today because I don't want to overwhelm you. In the beginning of life, chromium is important from the very earliest stages. In order to understand this, it's needful to cover some simple basics. Conception of new life begins a process of rapid cell duplication by division over and over again. It's called mitosis. This requires energy, a ton of energy. A substance called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, provides energy in human cells. ATP is the basic energy unit of the cell. If there's no ATP, then there's no cell duplication. It's just that simple. That makes ATP a very simple priority for the healthy formation of life. The proper combination of glucose, sugar, and oxygen results in the production of ATP. Therefore, it is of utmost importance that glucose is efficiently provided for life to flourish. Glucose is commonly referred to as blood sugar. Most people have some familiarity with a connection between blood sugar and insulin. It's not very commonly known just what that connection is or how it works. Many people also very commonly know that the pancreas produces insulin, but they often don't know exactly what insulin does. Insulin is a transport mechanism. It's like the truck that transports the glucose to the cells throughout the body. Insulin delivers glucose to a cell destination. All the cells, they're in an insulin, at the cell, there is an insulin receptor site. An insulin receptor site is comparable to a loading dock. This is where glucose is unloaded and passed into the cell for the production of ATP, energy. If a truck pulled up with its load to a loading dock and no one was there to unload it, what would happen? A compound named glucose tolerance factor is comparable to dock workers. GTF dock workers move the glucose load from the insulin truck to the insulin receptor site, the loading dock, and into the cell for on-site production of ATP. The complete makeup of GTF is still a mystery more than half a century after being discovered by Klaus Schwartz, MD, in 1959 with his associate, Dr. Walter Mertz, at the National Institutes of Health. However, the mineral element chromium was identified as the largest portion of the GTF compound. GTF chromium is the shining knight whose protective armor has never been uncovered. All the king's horses and all the king's men have not been able to get GTF chromium all the way apart, so they can't figure a way to construct it or put it together again. If there are not enough dock workers, GTF chromium, at the loading dock, the receptor site, then the work slows and becomes inefficient. The absence of GTF chromium dock workers may result in a traffic jam of insulin trucks filled with glucose, blood sugar. This results in what is called high blood sugar, of which the chronic state is called diabetes. If you want to keep up good quality production in the formation of new life, then plenty of GTF chromium dock workers are needed. How cool is that? Take a breath, let it soak in. Can we talk about pregnancy? How long are we in for right now? I don't want to wear you out with my blabbing. We're going to talk about pregnancy. Okay. As pregnancy progresses, a placenta develops, and that's the organ that provides the separation for a growing child apart from the mother. The placenta passes oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood, eliminates waste from the child within, and also acts as a protective barrier. Studies have shown that GTF chromium is one of the nutrients to most readily pass through the placenta to the developing child. As the placenta develops, there's an increase in genetic activity. Chromium appears to stabilize genetic material from distortion of structure, according to some research, and may therefore help to prevent mutations of genetic material in the cell. This would give even more reason for chromium to be one of the nutrients that most readily passes through the placenta to the developing child. There is further witness to the importance of chromium that is placed by the growing child in the womb upon the mother. A newborn infant has hair chromium levels up to 4 times greater than that of the mother. Evidence has shown that hair content of chromium may be a good indicator of tissue chromium levels. Furthermore, hair chromium levels in women who have born children are much lower than those women who are childless. This would seem to indicate that pregnant women do not generally consume chromium in sufficient amounts to provide for their own needs and that of their preborn children at the same time. Further studies have shown that hair chromium content of a mother does not decrease after her first pregnancy. This calls into question whether children after the firstborn start life with an optimum level of chromium in their bodies. Interesting. Finally, premature infants and those with evidence of growth retardation within the womb have significantly lower hair chromium content as compared to healthy infants that are born at full term. The evidence overwhelmingly supports that chromium is an important part of healthful growth for developing children during pregnancy. So let's talk about gestational diabetes, because a lot of women deal with that. So in the beginning of the chapter, we noted it was the absence of GTF chromium that could lead to high blood sugar condition, of which the chronic state is called diabetes. There's a condition somewhat common to pregnancy in which a woman exhibits diabetic symptoms. It's called gestational diabetes because of the appearance during pregnancy and subsequent disappearance after the conclusion of the pregnancy. Look at the evidence that has been presented so far. Number one, the developing child in the womb takes precedence over the mother with regard to chromium. Number two, chromium levels of mothers have been noted to be reduced, especially after a first pregnancy. It seems only reasonable to conclude that a lack of chromium due to the demands of pregnancy at least a significant role in gestational diabetes. It would seem that chromium deficiency might even play the primary role in this condition. So we're going to back up a little bit. The importance of chromium even enters into the very ability to conceive a child. Chromium is so intricately involved in many areas of pregnancy that it is only reasonable to conclude that a deficiency in the female may inhibit the ability to get pregnant. Chromium is important with regard to a man's part regarding pregnancy as well. Numerous studies have established that low chromium diets result in lowered sperm counts in the male. And there was even a CDC document noting that chromium deficiency has been associated with impaired fertility. Moving on. Research has firmly established that a large percentage of individuals by the age of 40 have little to no measurable levels of chromium able to be detected in their tissue. It is as a woman approaches the age of 40 that her ability to conceive also decreases significantly. Could this be another aspect attributable to the chromium deficiency? All right, that's probably enough on chromium. We're just getting started, you guys. There's so much more to learn, but I want to hit home on the fact that there are trash supplements available everywhere. And I want you to think about learning why there's a difference between a whole food supplement and a synthetic supplement. And for those of you that are just like getting into this natural health world, I know it can be extremely confusing, and it's okay. I mean, that's with anything new, right? But this glucose sugar balance, which is Chromium GTF, is 100% whole food. And we have seen amazing results with this from my pregnant clients that are just dealing with like energy uh, slumps during the day, like tired all the time, to my folks that have blood sugar inconsistencies, highs and lows. Um, Even my clients with heart issues, cholesterol issues. There's so many things that this is needed for, and you don't need it in a synthetic form. Whole food all the way, the safest way to go. And that's it for now. So I'm going to close out this podcast and just encourage you to get the book, read the book, or tune in later for more information on the chromium, and join the Not a Nurse, Not a Doc Facebook page. You will find that that page, we have a certain way of running it. Myself and Chrissy Cleek are the admins, and we are keeping it true to what Not a Doc would want. So there may be things that I might say outside of that page that I won't say there. So it's not a place for every recommendation that you see on TV, on Facebook, or my aunt's mom, sister's brother, whatever said. We're not doing all of that. It's just what he said. And you'll understand once you get on there and start reading some. But you can go to the little search bar, and type in whatever it is you're looking for, and it will bring up all of the posts for the last several years with his information. And if you can't find something there, let me know. We've probably talked about it. It just might be hidden. All right, guys, time to get off of here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I can't wait for you to hear upcoming podcast episodes. We're going to have a doctor of physical therapy on, some chiropractors, and of course, my friend Isabella, she's a medicine woman. I didn't explain that earlier. And so many more. I just can't wait to have them on. I think it's important to have a variety of natural health practitioners so you can just see all of the options out there in the natural health world from people who live it, breathe it, study it, and have reaped the rewards of living this way. So have a blessed day. And until I see you the next time, live happy, healthy, naturally.